Going to record this session. Okay, welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PHL Pre-K Fiscal Training for FY 2023. As a reminder, this session is for family providers. The center session is tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so just want to make sure you're in the right place. My name is Carrie Lee. I'm the contracts manager with PHMC. On the line, we have, on this webinar, we also have representatives from the Office of Children and Families and our PHMC staff. And also, you'll be hearing from Spark Quality Support Center about the resources they're providing at the end of this presentation. So just a few housekeeping items. Please have your phones and microphones muted. You can type any questions into the question box and we'll address those along the way. This presentation is also being recorded and we'll have that recording and slides available in the weekly newsletter. So the purpose of this training is to review FY23 fiscal expectations and deliverables outlined in your PHL Pre-K contract. We want to get your questions answered and help you set you up now to be able to plan for the year. We want to provide information on the financial systems and controls PHL Pre-K providers need to have in place to support reporting requirements. We want you to be able to see how your systems align with these best practices and see if there's any gaps. And we also want to be able to provide the resources so you can get the help now if you need it. So the agenda for this session mirrors those objectives. We'll give an overview of the FY23 fiscal expectations. We'll talk about those financial management systems and best practices, and then we'll go into some resources that are available. So first, starting off with the fiscal expectations. So each provider should adhere to your respective budget as approved by PHMC. Providers, your contractors and subcontractors need to comply with the 21st century minimum wage benefit, and that's at $15 right now. Each provider agrees, needs to complete the fiscal reviews outlined in your PHL Pre-K contract. And providers agree to maintain your books according to generally accepted principles of accounting and in accordance with the terms of the PHL PHL Pre-K agreement. This includes providing financial reports like balance sheets and income statements, and also providing reporting on an accrual versus cash basis. It's recommended that providers seek professional accounting services to ensure adherence to the terms of this agreement and adherence to acceptable accounting principles. This can range from hiring a bookkeeper to selecting a certified public accountant. Providers will make their books of accounts and related records available and accessible for audit, examination, excerpts, transcripts by PHMC or any authorized representatives. Providers also agreed to maintain records for 5 years after final payment is made and until any pending matters are closed, and to make those records available to authorized personnel of PHMC and the city. Now, factors that could affect what fiscal reports or reviews are needed. First is how much PHL Pre-K funding your organization receives. So it's not just what your contract amount is at the beginning of the year, but how much you've received of PHL Pre-K funding by the end of the year. So if you aren't fully enrolled through the year, you may not draw down all of those funds in the contract award. Some changes from FY 2022 last year to FY 23 may also affect fiscal reporting requirements. So if you are a returning provider, don't just assume that your review level is going to be the same. You really need to take a look and make sure you're in the right place. So some changes that happened from FY22 to FY23. Thresholds for the types of independent external reviews needed have increased. FY23 review categories consider whether you receive other city, state, and federal funds. And also the Office of Children and Families slot amount has increased from $8,750 to $10,000 per slot. This is great news. This could change your review and reporting requirements though. And we want you to remember in any of these fiscal reporting, no matter what method of financial presentation you use, what we really want to see is a standalone presentation of the PHL Pre-K program. So if you have accounting software, which is recommended, you can make this differentiation by tagging PHL Pre-K expenses as they come in, so you can easily be able to report on them at the time of reporting. Now, you also need to comply with city, state, and federal tax laws and regulations. City compliance is monitored monthly by PHMC, and providers would be contacted if you're non-compliant. If you are non-compliant, we ask that you reach out to the City of Philadelphia Department of Revenue directly, and that the best way to do that is by email. We'll say this in the email of non-compliance, but we just wanted to make sure you know that you should identify yourself as a PHL Pre-K provider, and make sure you provide them the information that they need to be able to help you. Make sure you provide your business name, your entity ID number, which is the number your business is registered under, which could be your EIN, your social security number, or your city tax number. So PHL Pre-K funding has allowable and unallowable expenses. Allowable expenses are on the left-hand side. Those are childcare related expenditures, which can include expenses that support blended classrooms, cost of membership in business, technical, and professional organizations. Unallowable expenses are on the right-hand side. Those include the purchase of land, new construction or major renovations, purchase of gift cards, money orders, gift certificates, or travel checks, purchase of alcohol, purchase or lease of vehicles, payments towards staff entertainment that is not related to professional development activities, cost of membership in civic, community, and social organizations, or organizations whose primary purpose is lobbying, or the purchase of any secondhand or used items. And that's including, but not limited to, those from individuals, yard sales, and auctions. So in terms of fiscal reporting, here are some of the reviews that may be required. So for first is the mid-year. That is, all providers are required to submit mid-year reviews. PHMC will contact you in December of this year, and then provide you the template to be able to fill out, and then you'll complete that by February. Desk reviews and year-end reviews happen at the end of the program year. Desk reviews are a 10% sample of providers receiving less than $300,000 in organizational receipt of PHL Pre-K funds, and providers with identified fiscal concerns. We'll contact those providers in July 2023 and have them submit in August 2023. Year-end reviews. These are providers who are not selected for that desk review, and providers receiving less than $300,000 in organizational receipt of PHL Pre-K funding. Again, this timeline is the same as the desk reviews. We'll contact providers in July and then have them submit in August. So reporting requirements for these. So mid-year and year-end expense reviews. When we contact you, we'll provide you with the PHL Pre-K budget versus actuals expense report template. So that'll, you'll provide the summary of your budget by line items, and then also the budget that was approved at the beginning of the year, and then the actuals on what you actually spent your PHL break funding on, which should align. And then it'll have tabs, and you'll provide detailed reporting for line item expenses. For the desk review, we'll ask you to submit your general ledger. And then PHMC will complete a review to include reviewing your general ledger and then tracing to supporting documentation, verifying that purchases and payments are in accordance with established laws and regulations, and we'll also request a copy of accounting policies and procedures. Now for this reporting, providers should submit a review for each individual entity that has a contract with for PHL Pre-K. And the individual entity includes each entity with a distinct taxpayer identification number or social security number or employer identification number. Providers themselves can complete these reports with the help of their external fiscal staff or external fiscal experts if applicable. These do not need to be completed by a certified CPA. Now, just to touch a little bit on some of the things we talked about that need to be submitted for the desk review, we will ask for that general ledger. An effective general, I'm going to show a little sample here of it. An effective general ledger has clear dates of entry and descriptions, consistency in how expenses are coded, and also the ability to go back to find specific details about transactions. In this we'll also want to see documentation of best practices, documenting, these are documentation best practices. We'll want to see that your business and personal bank accounts and credit cards are separate, so no commingling of funds. Some of the benefits of really using a business credit card for transactions is that you can track expenses more easily. It'll all be in one statement altogether. You can also establish a financial cushion. Every transaction must have a receipt. So if you misplace a receipt, you can either request a replacement or in the worst case, write a memo in your general ledger explaining it. You want to remember to match receipts to credit card statements and keep the supporting documentation for the general ledger. And then you also want to make sure cash transactions are kept to a minimum to reduce fraud and waste and abuse. And so these are just subject to many control breakdowns. We may ask you for that desk review for those written set of accounting policies and procedures. These are to ensure that your finances are managed with accuracy, efficiency, and transparency. We want to make sure the guidelines of funders are followed. And then also it helps to ensure the consistent handling of account transactions and financial reporting. Your written set of accounting policies and procedures should be reviewed and revised annually. So after you submit these fiscal reviews, we'll tell you a little bit about what happens. So for the mid-year and year-end expense reviews, PHMC verifies adherence to PHL billing and fiscal guidelines. This will include comparing your PHL pre-budget to the actuals that you spent, checking to make sure that there are no disallowed expenses, and then also reviewing allocation methods to make sure they're clearly documented. For the desk reviews, PHMC will review, will verify that PHL pre-K expenses are clearly identified. We'll select a sample of transactions and request supporting documentation from providers to check for accuracy, correctness, and propriety. We'll verify that the provider has the appropriate insurance, is up to date on taxes. And then we'll also verify a host of procedures around expenditures, allocations, payroll, accounts payable, credit cards, petty cash, gift cards, those accounting policies and procedures, and in conflict of interest. And then if there are any findings, we'll follow up with corrective action or additional fiscal monitoring based on those reviews. So this session, as I stated when we first started, is for family providers. So we just want to do a brief highlight of these independent external reviews. Those that receive $300,000 or more in annual PHL pre-K funds are required to do independent external reviews conducted by certified public accountants or CPAs. And this is, since this is focused on family providers, we won't go into great detail on this, but just wanted to give this for reference to be able, so that you all know as you are thinking about growing your business. We wanted you all to be aware that as your funding levels increase, there are additional fiscal requirements that will be put into play, that are required, that need to be met. Now I want to stop here to see if there are any questions. We are at the end of the fiscal expectation section. Hi to all of those folks that have joined us. Glad to have you.
I have a question. This is Sherilyn Tripp. For the balance sheet and income statements, is that for the entire organization or just Philly Pre-K?
I can't hear her.
I'm sorry, could you speak up, Sherilyn? You're breaking up a bit. We couldn't hear you very well.
I noticed that you have to keep Philly Pre-K's financials separate. So when you're asking for the balance sheet and income statements, is that for the entire organization or just for Philly Pre-K? Can you hear me? No?
I heard you, and you're not going to like my answer. Let's say both.
Both?
Yeah,
Okay.
because one, if you have multiple lines of business, then one of the big concerns as we do reviews is to make sure that we are that there's no commingling, no crossing of funds. So we'd kind of like to see what percentage Philly Pre-K is of the entire business. And then that gives us a basis for understanding and evaluating the agency as a whole. Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay, I understand. That's fine.
Do you mind if I ask a question? And you guys can either type it in or you can just kind of chirp in with your voices. Because this issue about accrual accounting seems to be a big deal. Does anybody in this room understand what that means? Anybody? Everybody?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, that's great.
Great, okay. So please, if you have any other questions, make sure you type it in the chat box. We'll move it along to the next section. So we'll talk about financial management systems and best practices. So these are best practices that should be in place for any financial stability for your business, not specific to PHL Pre-K. And we know some providers have these systems well in place, but wanted to just make sure we have a clear overview. So first we'll talk about having a financial management system that allows you to track your revenue and expenses to be able to produce financial reports. Having a written set of those accounting policies and procedures, making sure you're complying with city, state, and federal tax laws and regulations, making sure you're categorizing employees correctly, keeping and having classifications for independent contractors, maintaining tax compliance, reporting on an accrual basis, not cash, using business banking accounts and credit cards, following documentation best practices, developing procedures on how to calculate allocations, and developing strategies to prepare for the unexpected, such as like having a line of credit or contributing to a rainy day fund. Now, as we mentioned earlier, these financial management systems are really critical to set up now. So if you don't have your finances in order, it's going to be really difficult to do the financial reporting or external reviews that happen at the end of the year. It's really recommended that you use accounting software. There are options like QuickBooks, Wave, FreshBooks, and many more. You really want to find the software that best fits your organization's needs. And as we talked about, that really helps to tag PHL Pre-K and other funding streams, so you can produce those various financial reports really easily, especially that standalone PHL Pre-K report. In terms of revenue and expense tracking, we want to make sure you're consistent in the categories that you're using to code transactions each month. You want to reconcile transaction monthly. And make sure you're keeping receipts and other supporting documentation just in case it's requested. For financial reports and record keeping, really you should be generating and reviewing your reports regularly. This is to help you understand how your business is doing and be used to be able to help you make decisions. These reports include the general ledger, the income statement, often called the profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow statements. So if you think about your business and the systems that you have in place, and some of those don't match up, we have some resources to be able to provide for you. So first is really just thinking about engaging with external financial experts. If you are looking for a certified CPA, the Pennsylvania Institute of Certified Public Accountants has a search tool. I think one of our staff members, Kate, is going to drop that locator search in the chat box for you. We also have, if you are looking for a financial expert, you want to make sure to interview candidates to make sure they have the qualifications and do the reporting that's required. We do have a guide as well on selecting an accountant. It goes through some, interview questions and some helpful tips, and we'll drop that in the chat box as well. Thank you, Kate. And then I will let Tanisha Campbell, she's the business support specialist at the Spark Quality Support Center, speak to some of the quality support, the supports they have available.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. As Carrie said, I am the business specialist. I'm Tanisha Campbell, the business specialist for Quality Support Center, and I'm here to just give some insight on our program and what we offer. So the Quality Support Center provides support to providers that's in PHL Pre-K program in all areas of the contract and the deliverables that you have to meet to be a part of PHL Pre-K. But I'm going to speak specifically in regards to the business support services and what my role is. So my role is to support you in your program and improving and strengthening your operations and business in all areas of your business and administrative practices. And what we do is what I provide is professional development and also some consultative services in regards to your operations and your business in your fiscal area as well as your administrative area. We provide professional development every month at the Quality Support Center in regards to various topics on business. I have one coming up on September 19th called Budgeting and Maintaining Your Budget. And so please visit us on the Spark website to see that training that is coming up. And we will also be providing trainings twice a month on repeat trainings that we've had in the past. And so starting in October, we'll be offering 2 business trainings, a new training, and also a repeat training that we've had in the past. So please go onto the Quality Support Center website and in the events, upcoming events, and you will see my trainings as well as other specialist trainings regarding other areas. We have a training, a specialist in family partnership. We have a specialist in early education. And so, and we all provide trainings related to the PHL pre-K contract and what you guys have expressed need and support. In regards to, we have a new program that will be starting, I believe, in the next coming weeks. I don't have a date just yet, but it's called Sabotage. Sabotage will be providing consultative services to providers on one-on-one. And so you will be able to go onto our website and put an interest that you would like that service, and they will work with you in any area of your business operations and provide sessions. And we're looking at 1 to 3 sessions per provider for the year. And so each provider will, who are interested, will receive 1 to 3 sessions from this organization or in any area that you may need support in. We will also will be providing some resource tools and some webinars through them to also support providers. So this will be a new pilot program that will be launching in a couple weeks. We are still working with them in the details, and that will be offered soon. And so please look for that in the PHL Pre-K newsletter coming soon. And that is basically my role. Our Quality Support Center website has been put in the chat, as well as my email. Now, generally, you can contact me if you have any business support issues or anything that you may need. And if not, I can direct you in the right place, but hopefully I will be able to accommodate you as much as I can. You can go through the coach because everyone is assigned a coach, or you can reach out to me directly.
Okay. Thanks, Tanya. So if providers have a specific training topic, they can contact you, or would that be the best way?
They can contact me or their coach. So right now, we don't want to feel like the providers have to go, everything has to go through the coach, because depending on, if you see me in a training and you want to reach out to me directly, there's no criteria of reaching out to me first or the coach. We all work as a team. So if you reach out to me and say, this is a need, I'll tie in the coach, and then we work as a team to support the provider. If you have a topic of training that you would like for us, we welcome it. We also have on the website any ideas or any trainings that you would like to have. We welcome that also on the website. It's always great to know what you guys need and want in training. So because generally we make up trainings based off of what the coaches tell us or what we feel may be important during a certain time of year, but the providers are the ones that can really be helpful in coming up with new content for the trainers, so we can provide you for what you need. And so, because we want you to be a part of that process. So yes, please feel free to send me an email if you have a topic that you would like. We will even come out to your program. Now things are getting a little more relaxed. We're hoping in regards to doing more face-to-face trainings. We would like to really come out into centers and do trainings specifically for programs if we can bring enough people in to join those trainings at your site. And we're also considering going into the free library in areas as well to provide trainings.
Great. And how long will a Civitas session be?
We don't know those details right now. Tracy, the deputy director of our program, is still in talks with Sabotage and the more detailed aspect of what those sessions and how long they will be. But what I understand and what was told to me is that look to getting at least 1 to 3 sessions based off of your needs. So once you have your intake with them, you would tell them what you need support in, and they will then work out an action plan with you for those 1 to 3 sessions on helping you through that process.
Great. Thanks, Tanishai.
Any questions or anything?
Any other questions? We'll get through the supports and then I think there's another question that came in. So I'll just go through the resources and then we'll get to any more questions too. So please keep putting them in the chat box. But just rounding out this resources section, Children's Village has business operations trainings. It's not currently on their website. They're hoping to have some coming up soon, but just we have their website there for updates. The Early Childcare Fiscal Hub is a collaboration between PHMC Reinvestment Fund and Children's Village. Creates resources in terms of templates and tools. So they have like a standard chart of accounts available, some templates for income statements and balance sheets. They also have a childcare business basics guide, which talks about financial and accounting concepts available. So you can check out their website. Also Shared Source PA, you can visit their website. They have cost and time-saving tools and resources available. Some like about the differences between a bookkeeper and accountant. And lots of financial management tools, other HR tools as well. So you do need to log in and get a membership, but it's free. So we have that website available as well. And I think that's the end of our resources section. We do have some definitions. We won't go through this all, just as a reference for you. And more information about a general ledger, some of the financial reports, definitions of what they are, some about cash and accounting, accrual basis, and all of that. So feel free to look back. Again, these slides in the recording will be in the newsletter. So let's go back and to see if there's any more questions that came in. We did have one, and I think I will refer this to Ken. Ken is our PHMC accounting manager for PHL Pre-K. So what if you don't use an accrual basis?
The short answer is you're not giving a clear indication of exactly where your business is. Because one of the things that the accrual basis does is it allows you to account for things that you have not yet paid for or been paid for. And one of the ways that that impacts the agencies is when you're getting ready to do your invoicing, you want to get your cash as soon as possible. Well, you might accrue that expense knowing that it's coming. A great way to think of this is if you think about your electric bill, that almost always comes in the middle of the month, and like half of it belongs to one month, half of it belongs to the other month. By accruing half of that, knowing that that bill is coming, you can now quickly bill for that expense up front. And the other way to think about this whole thing is right now, the way your contract is worded, you're required to be on an accrual basis. I think that may be a little difficult for smaller businesses, but that is the wording of the contract.
Any other questions on anything we've talked about today? Thanks, Tanishai. Please feel free to reach out to her with any kind of business supports needs, topics. We'll also, as business supports become available through Spark, we'll also make sure to have that in our newsletter, PHMC's newsletter. And if you do have think of any questions after, you can please feel free to email the PHL Pre-K inbox as well. We'll be happy to answer any questions that may come up.
One thing I'd like to point out, because you're hearing a lot about getting an accounting professional to help you along. You're hearing a lot about getting a CPA. I'm not saying that you have to have a CPA on staff. That's quite pricey. You might need a bookkeeper to help you maintain your general ledger and whatever. You might need to, or you might want to band together with a few other agencies to pay the time of a bookkeeper. That's something for you to discuss with Tanisha and some of the other people. That might be an economic way of ensuring that your books and records are accurate and still stay within an acceptable cost mark.
And I would just like to add that in our the professional development trainings that are offered relates to all of these issues in regards to bookkeeping, record keeping, providing different tools and recommendations on how to be more effective in those areas. And so, again, please visit our website, our Quality Support Center, look at what's being offered in the upcoming months, because there will be deliverables coming up soon with the mid-year expense reports and things that may be helpful to you as you are moving towards the school year. And so, again, feel free to reach out to me, but also take advantage of these really great trainings that I've developed and my colleagues to help you with meeting these expectations.
And I'd like to add that it sounds like these are requirements that are for Philly Pre-K. The things that we're really asking for really do help your business across the board. They help you develop the skills, the administrative skills that you need in order to be a sound, well-grounded going concern. So.
And the great thing about the work that I do is I can sometimes providers need more one-on-one, and that's a service that can be given. And so every provider needs are authentic and different. And so that's a plus with our program, is that we can customize your support based off of what you need. And so if you need specifics, we can support you with that. Okay.
Great. So if there are no more questions, that rounds out our training. Thank you all for attending. Again, these materials, the slides, the recordings, all the links and all that, we're going to be in the PHL Pre-K newsletter. So look out for that. And thanks all. Have a great day.